But let's get into our last topic here. We're talking about what was I'm calling it a bombshell report. Supposedly, according to The Athletic, Russell Wilson in February of 2022 asked the owner, well, we're assuming it's the owner, because Russell Wilson asked for the GM, John Schneider, as well as head coach Pete Carroll to be fired after there were, he put out the teams that he didn't want, or the teams that he wanted to be traded to and everything like that. But that's essentially what happened. Basically, Russell Wilson was convinced that, according to The Athletic, that Pete Carroll and Schneider were inhibiting his quest to win additional Super Bowls and individual awards, according to league sources who spoke to The Athletic on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the details. These anonymous sources get a little bit weird, but there are actually some quotes. There was a very big article written by The Athletic, a huge article that broke down basically the entire season into detail, where there were actually some quotes from some players and some coaches there. But based on what you have here, I gave you the report. I gave you the shortened version, the more breaking news one. The Seahawks end up trading Russell Wilson instead of firing their GM and head coach.
Yeah.
And we compared the seasons between Geno Smith on the Seahawks and Russell Wilson on the Broncos, and Geno Smith looked like the better option there. So I want to know, how much do you actually believe in this report, and what's your overall reaction to, I'm still calling this a bombshell report by The Athletic?
Well, if it's true, it is a bombshell report. And I think that if it is true, then I think that Seattle did the right thing. I mean, it looks like they got the better end of that deal big time, right?
Right.
We'll see what Russell Wilson does with Sean Payton as his head coach. Maybe he rebounds, maybe he doesn't. We'll see. But the Seattle got, what'd they get? They got several first-round picks, right?
I think they got 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a fourth, and 2 players.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And they got Noah Fant, right?
Well, that's one of the players, the tight end, yeah.
He's a good tight end. And for that first-round pick this year is going to be worth a lot. The Broncos only won 5 games.
It's a beautiful pick right now.
It's a very big pick. So Seattle's going to strengthen themselves big time by that trade. I think they're going to be viewed as down the road here. I think the big winner in that one.
Right.
Whether Russell Wilson can bounce back and under Sean Payton, we'll see. Sean Payton's a great coach. There's no doubt about it. He's 100%. An offensive guy, but he was helped a lot by having Drew Brees as his quarterback too. And Drew Brees was is a Hall of Fame quarterback. So I don't know. Maybe Sean Payton is a very, very good coach who had a great quarterback. I don't know.
Well,
and rather than a great coach who made
that's a hot take right there. That is a hot take.
That made Drew Brees better. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think he's a very, very good coach. Whether he's the world beater or not, I don't know.
I think he's a very, very good coach. But Russell Wilson actually did respond this morning in a tweet. Which I believe we have up. Let's get it up right now. Here it is. I love Pete, and he was a father figure to me, and John believed in me and drafted me as well. I never wanted them fired. All any of us wanted was to win. I'll always have respect for them and love for Seattle. Well, that's not a good sign when you basically said I wanted to stay in Seattle, but then had your agent call teams about potential trade offers, and then
somebody's not telling the truth.
And then you released 5 teams that you would prefer to go to if you were to be traded. One of them was including the Saints. And the report here says he wanted to replace Pete Carroll with Sean Payton. Well, Russell Wilson, you got Sean Payton now. And that's after you went to Nathaniel Hackett, who was an abomination. But this goes into more about the whole situation between him and the Broncos and everything like that. So here's a crazy thing to think about. So Russell Wilson had his own office on the 2nd floor, had his own trainer in the facility, I believe even had his own cooks. And basically, Russell Wilson was not really assimilated with the rest of the team. He felt like he was above everybody, and everyone else was his, underlings. But he still said, my office is always open. You could talk to me and everything like that.
What's he got his office for? He's a player.
That's a great question. And
his locker is his office.
Exactly. And that's what some coaches were wondering. Like, hey, You should be downstairs with the rest of the players.
Yeah.
Even though he had an open door policy.
Brady never did anything like that.
Of course not. No, of course not. He would walk up to the first rookie and say, hey, my name's Tom Brady, and introduce himself like every rookie didn't know who Tom Brady was. But the second floor, players didn't want to go because if you went to the second floor, chances were you were basically going to be told by the team you were being released. So the second floor is not a place you want to go to. Russell Wilson was out here, making all these decisions and basically being above everyone. And supposedly, according to reports, players and coaches did not appreciate Russell Wilson doing that because he thought he was above everybody else.
Football is a team sport.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, we're taking a look here with Russell Wilson. This is a bad look. And there are also some moments of Russell Wilson, and he was making plays, and players thought, and coaches on the Broncos thought Nathaniel Hackett basically gave Russell Wilson the keys to the Broncos and had him basically run everything. That they gave Russell Wilson so much power that really, let Russ cook was not something the Seahawks made, it's something that Russell Wilson made. Russell Wilson's got this big persona now, and he wants to portray that everyone. He needs to get humbled. And what's crazy is that in Sean Payton's first press conference, the reporters asked him about, would Russell Wilson's own coach be there? Would his trainer be there? And Sean Payton's like, yeah, that's not going to happen here. So Sean Payton putting his foot down immediately saying, yeah, Russ, you got to change what you're doing here. You got to focus on our coaches, our trainers, our staff. Everyone else could be sort of, pushed aside. The Patriots did that with Brady, actually. His TB12 trainer, Alex Guerrero, he wasn't allowed to stand with the rest of the team. And Brady got mad. And Brady got very mad when that happened. But I don't like this. I do believe this because, with the way Russell Wilson, his attitude at the end of his Seahawks tenure, and there were reportedly several rifts between him and Pete Carroll. This doesn't surprise me in the least that he asked for them to be fired. It does not surprise me in the least. Because you know what? You want to get Sean Payton, who is probably a better coach than Pete Carroll would be, I would assume. Pete Carroll, he didn't, build a great offensive line. The offensive line was bad. The running game, which was a huge staple throughout basically in the entirety of Russell Wilson's career, with Marshawn Lynch, who was, top 5 in running throughout that great run, essentially each and every year. He didn't have that. He still had great receivers in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. But Russell Wilson said, there need to be some changes if we want to see success. Well, could those changes be an offensive line, which very well could be one of the changes, but also could it have been, the guy who's in my ear and who's building up my team, the GM and the coach? Could I want them to be changed? I think there's a very big possibility. I don't believe Russell Wilson's statement at all. I don't.
I don't either.
That's called damage control.
Yeah, I agree.
Because why? First of all, if Russell Wilson played great, this story would never have come out. This story wouldn't have come out. It's just that Russell Wilson played very, very poorly last season.
Yep.
That this story came out. So Russell Wilson's on damage control. There'll always be people that are saying, no, this report doesn't mean anything. It's nothing. It's a bunch of malarkey.
I wonder if Pete Carroll, what he would say about it.
He wouldn't care. Pete Carroll would not care in the least. Because
I wonder if he must have known rumors about it.
Guess what?
That's not something you can keep quiet.
He's probably reading this report and laughing, saying, we got him.
Yeah.
You played bad. We got Geno Smith. Geno Smith, who was a bust throughout every single year of his career until Russell Wilson was gone. That's the crazy thing about it. Geno Smith was a bust.
Good for Geno.
Absolutely good for Geno Smith. He had a great year, and he's probably going to sign a multi-year extension with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Was that a great idea? I think only time will tell, but Geno Smith played well enough to make it to the playoffs. So this whole situation, I think it has, damage control on Russell Wilson's part. But I'm not all that surprised by the fact that the story dropped. Was the initial surprise of, oh my God, a bombshell. Russell Wilson wanted the GM and the head coach fired. A little bit, but now you think about it. Russell Wilson was angry, sent all these messages out about he wants to change the team, and then his agent was going behind everyone's back in secrecy, even though Russell Wilson himself said he wanted to stay in Seattle. His agent was going around figuring out what he was worth to other teams. Even then, he posted that list of 5 or 6 teams he wanted to be traded to, one of which was the Saints, who at the time had Sean Payton as their head coach. So I'm not all that surprised if you really think about it.
Well, he wound up getting a huge payday out of it.
He did?
He didn't earn his money last year. We'll see what happens in the new year with a new coach. The guy he wanted all along. So will he step up and be a world beater?
He needs to.
But
he needs to.
I don't know. I'm not sure that offense has got the pieces to make him a world beater.
Ooh,
Who's their running back?
They had Javonte. He tore his ACL. Javonte Williams, who was a very, very good running back.
Mm-hmm. And the wide receivers.
You got Jerry Jeudy. You got.
He didn't do much this past year, right?
No, you got Sutton. You had a couple of injuries.
Orton Sutton.
Yeah, you got a couple of injuries on the wide receiver position, so it wasn't as effective. Your offensive line needs to be fixed a little bit. I think he had 50 sacks this season.
Yeah.
So offensive line is not great. The defense was.
They don't have many draft picks either. They gave them all away to Seattle.
Gave them all away, and they gave up more to get Sean Payton. Because they had to give the Saints compensation. It was basically a trade like a player, except it was for a coach. So
I heard Colin Coward did the analysis of this, and he predicted that Peyton would go to the Broncos. He was right.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
I
he thought they'd be successful too. He thought they would find a way through the draft actually to strengthen the team, and I don't see that. Well, they've given up all their top picks there for a while.
They're gonna need to find several diamond in the roughs consistently.
Yeah.
You got to hit. That's basically, you got to hit on all your draft picks.
Yeah.
Because Russell Wilson, is he still the guy? Can Russ still cook? Well, this past season and even the year before, he wasn't really cooking. He was more like burning the food. He wasn't cooking it so well. So I mean, I'm still sticking to my guns. I got to see some other proof that Russell Wilson wasn't on this sort of very, I would say, well above average throughout his entire career, and then this isn't all of a sudden a dip now. Because you take a look at it, Russell Wilson, he had a top 3 running game most of his years with Seattle, and he had a top 5 defense most of his years with Seattle. The numbers are somewhere in this pile of former topic scripts that I have here of the show. I couldn't go through it, but you take a look at Russell. We even had a graphic on the show a little while ago. Russell Wilson, is this a dip? And will he rebound from this? Or, as I'm saying, this is a trend. I mean, I don't think this is a simple blip in his career where all of a sudden it's a bad point. It's an outlier. I think this is more so you take a look at it. Well, Russell Wilson, he doesn't make great decisions. Play clock is weird. Everything is, and apparently, you know how everyone was, hating on the time management with Nathaniel Hackett, call a timeout, and you get the play late. You have a delay of game. You get the field goal team out late, and then you get a delay of game penalty. Then you have to punt. Supposedly, he would get it out in 20 to 25 seconds, and Russell Wilson would overly explain the play in the huddle. So Russell Wilson would be the reason why they would line up late.
Oh yeah.
Supposedly to this report, that's what they break it down with. That the play would get out 20 to 25 seconds left on the play clock. Then he gets up, he gives the play, maybe has trouble saying the full play, and then overly explains the play, tells players, what to exactly do on the play. And they would go out, and all of a sudden, there'd be 3 seconds left. You can't snap the ball, delay a game. So, I mean, you take a look at this here. I'm not surprised. I don't know if you're surprised or not, but this is. I think this is the real
Russell Wilson. I think has some mileage on him too. It's not like he's a third or fourth year player. He's how many years has he played in the league?
I believe he's
10 years.
I think it's 10 or 11. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's getting up there, and he's taking some hits.
Right.
He's been that mobile type of quarterback. He was running around in the backfield a lot, taking some hits. So, he's got quite a bit of mileage on him. He may be over the hill.
By the way, 11
years.
Yeah.
11 years. So that's a lot.
Yeah. And he did not look good this year whatsoever.
No.
3,500 yards, which was his...
He had the defensive guys were coming up to him and come on, get your act together.
Yeah, the defensive tackle was screaming, let's go. Let's get the offense going. Because the defense was not the problem, anywhere near the problem last year.
That's right. And that's something they got going for them this coming year, right? The defense is pretty good.
Yeah, they had the 7th ranked total defense in the league last year. A top 10 defense. Your offense is ranked 21st. 21st in your offense. So your passing game was ranked 19th.
Yeah.
So Russell Wilson needs to get his act together. He did not look good. But you know what? Like I said, this is not a blip. I'm sticking to my guns. This is a trend. You're going to see, you may see a little bit of an improved Russell Wilson. He'll go from having a 4-11 record to what? 6-10, 6-11? Maybe.
I don't know. They might get to 500. Well, there is There is no 500 anymore, right? Because there's 17 games.
9-8. You're saying
they might get to 8-9.
8-9.
8-9, something like that.
Here's the thing. This should have been the division that would be the hardest in the NFL. 2 of the teams were jokes. The Raiders became a joke. And the Broncos were even a bigger joke. It was the Chargers who, people were hating on their coach. Now they're saying Justin Herbert's overrated. And then Mahomes, who people thought would have a dip in his career, now all of a sudden looks like he's the number 1 rated quarterback in the NFL. So this should have been the best division. Now you got Derek Carr, who's gone. You're going to replace with Jarrett Stidham or another quarterback, maybe in the draft or during free agency. And you got Russell Wilson, who looks like hot trash. And you got to figure out what to do with him with Sean Payton now. You've had 2 head coaches, and now in 2 years with them.
I can't wait for next year.
It's going to be a hell of a season. This offseason, we won't see. I believe we won't see as many pieces moving because we had so many pieces move last offseason. It was a great time to do the show. We had a bunch of news to cover. But we're going to see just how exciting this offseason could be.
Yeah.
Which hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's good. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.